God has a double standard. You might not know about it, but one day you will. And it will be better for you on that day the sooner you see it and the sooner you understand it. Now, the double standard fittingly has two parts to it. The first part of the double standard is more. God has a double standard for people who have more. More can mean lots of different things. More power, more influence. As a teacher, one of the verses I take very soberly is one from James 3 that says teachers will be treated more harshly than everybody else. There's a double standard for people like me. More can also mean more privilege, more opportunity, whether you ask for it or whether the nation you live in just gives it to you. More also means double, a double standard. The second part of the double standard of God is that the standard is double. Matthew 25, Jesus tells this parable, you might have heard of it. It's called the parable of the talents. Now, what you might not know is that Jesus tells that parable 48 hours before he is killed, as Acts 2:23 says, killed by lawless men. In this parable, Jesus talks about a master who goes away on a trip, and he entrusts 3 of his servants with some of his stuff, his talents, currency. To one guy, he gives 5. To another, he gives 2. And to the last one, he gives 1. Master goes away on a trip and he comes back and he asks all 3 servants the same question. What did you do with what I gave you? What did you do when I left? And the first guy, the guy who had 5, he's happy to say, I got you 5 more. Double. The second guy, a guy who had 2, says the same thing. He says, I took the 2 you gave me and I got you 2 more. And the master says the same thing to both of them. Well done, good and faithful servant. I'm so pleased with you. And then there's the last guy, the guy who had 1. He says, well, I took what you gave me and I buried it. I covered it up. I decided the right thing to do was to save it for later. The currency you gave me, I wanted to save. And the master looks at that guy and he says, you did what? You buried it in the ground, you saved it for later, you did nothing with it? And then he looks the guy in the eye and he says, you wicked servant. Everything I've given you, I'm taking away. Now, you and I are the servants in the parable. And God is the master. He's given each of us something. Some of us He's given more. Some of us He's given more influence, more ears who will listen to us, more power, more opportunity. But regardless of how much He's given us, the standard is the same. It's double. It's a double standard. Someday, God's going to show up. He's going to ask you the same question. What did you do with what I've given you? What did you do when? What did you do when? Stories of people like Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd are covering the internet. What did you do when racism and injustice were running rampant in your country? What did you do with what I've given you? I'm telling you, on that day, if your response is, I took the currency you gave me, I took the relational currency you gave me, the connections you've given me, the people who I can influence, I took all that currency and I buried it. I'm saving it for later, for something else, for some other cause. God will not look at you and say, what a wise decision, way to go. The right response is, I took what you gave me. I took everything you have given me, God, and I spent it. I spent all the relational capital I had to give you a return in your kingdom, to return more justice, to return more love, to return more unity. I spent everything. Whatever God's given you, spend it. It's this simple. Just say something. There are people who will listen to you who won't listen to anybody else. You might be a stay-at-home mom or a dad. Just get your kids around the table and tell them the stories of these people. Talk to them about Ahmaud. and Breonna and George, how they were brutally murdered because of the color of their skin. Tell them you're not okay with it and your family is going to work to change it. Maybe you're a business leader. Get your employees on a call, on a Zoom call. Tell them you're not okay with this. It's not what your business stands for. And you're interested in ideas of how you could help change it. Maybe you're a student. Talk to your friends. Tell them about it. Maybe you have a social media account. I know you do. Post about it. It starts with saying something as simple as, "This is not okay." The fact of our nation, whether we like it or not, is that change only happens when the majority demand it. Let's demand it, and let's spread the message to everyone who will listen to us. Let's spin the talents, the currencies, the relational currencies that God has given each of us. So one day we can stand in front of Him and we can say, "You gave me 2, I got you 2 more. You gave me 5, I got you 5 more. Or you gave me 1, I got you 1 more." God will look at you and He'll say what He always says: "Well done, my good and faithful servant."